of Friday Forum. Oh, Thatcher's. Everyone's on the cider.
Thatcher's.
I'm gonna go. There must be a cider around my flat somewhere. Nice. Okay. A bucket of red wine. Yes, Hazel. It's just got to that time of the week. Okay, great. Well, thanks for hanging around, and hope you feel a bit more satiated. I'm going to read Ben's bio, and then I'm going to hand over to Ben. So, Benjamin Hall is a Glasgow-based artist, animator, and creative computerist. Has just graduated from the Glasgow School of Art. When his final degree show was cancelled due to coronavirus, he and a small team of students created DS 2020 Simulator, a virtual recreation of their show that never happened. DS 2020 was released for free earlier this year and has been featured on BBC One and BBC Radio Scotland, as well as by several platforms within and without Glasgow. So it's a really fascinating project, a real collective effort, and it's really great to have you with us here today, Ben, to talk about your work and also the work that's within this online show. So thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, I don't want to take all the credit. There were 11 people that put the show together, and 136 people sent work in the end, which was crazy, more than we could imagine. But I'll just get my presentation up. Cool. So yeah, I'll just start with a teeny bit about me. So I've just graduated from fine art at the Glasgow School of Art, where I spent my time on painting and printmaking course, decidedly not painting or printmaking, just messing around on my laptop and making little animations and films and things. There's one at the CCA. That's the one that was going to be my degree show that got cancelled. Very sad. But yeah, that's enough about me. So about last year, I was talking to my gran, pictured, who's disabled and lives in Somerset. This is one of the only existing photos of her. And so she likes art shows and something she's interested in. It was my show, so she would have liked to come. And she would never have been able to. And I just thought, in kind of with the tools that we have now, so many of which are free, I didn't feel a need for that to be the case, where the only experience she could have of our show would be kind of inherently disappointing in a way, like photos and things. So I thought, using my skill set from making my animations and doing some computer patches and stuff on my course, that we could probably turn our degree show into a game to release for free online, for people to walk around and see kind of digital versions of everyone's work. And I pitched this to like a bunch of tutors and students, and everyone was always really positive about it, so that was really nice. But like, while I was writing my dissertation and finishing my degree and things, it kind of sat on the back burner. And then we got our kind of space allocation in Glasgow School of Art Stowe College building, where the degree show was going to be held. It would just have finished a couple of days ago if it happened. And we got this, and then 3 days later, we got an email saying, it's cancelled, everything's cancelled, get out of the uni in 24 hours, you've graduated, you've finished. Which was sad, like very sad for a lot of people. It was a very confusing couple of days. At the time, there was no idea of whether we were going to have any kind of rescheduled show, and there's still no kind of official word on if there'll be a physical show rescheduled, which people are really actively pushing for within and without the uni. The student president's been really great at kind of leading that charge. There has been a showcase website that GSA put out, but I'll come back to that later. But at the time, nothing. So I had a conversation with my friend Jay Darlington, who contributed massively to putting the simulator together. Remember that thing I was talking about, should we do it? And he was like, yeah, we should do it. So we kind of started to work on it properly, and I thought I'd just take you through it like as it came together, because I thought it'd be a more interesting way to kind of show it. So I took the floor plan of the building and turned it into kind of these stretchy wall things. Wanted to recreate everybody's spaces within the building. This is before we'd kind of really told anyone about it. And then turned it into like the floor layout. So we managed to get all of the, I think I froze for a second there. We managed to get all of the spaces laid out how they would have been. And at the start, it looked very rough. But it was recognisably like walking around the uni building. So it was a start. And then Jay chipped in with some great 3D modelling stuff for the kind of entranceway and the stairs and things. And then I managed to pull a kind of 3D scan of the whole building out of Google Maps with a bit of trickery. And eventually we, after about a week, I think this is before lockdown had officially started in the UK, but about a week after our uni had shut, we put together this kind of like build demo video just to give people an idea of what it could look like. And I put this out on Instagram and things, and just to kind of like gauge interest. And the response from like fellow students and loads of people was amazing, like totally unexpected, unprecedented. I couldn't believe it. And a bunch of people around Glasgow, like Map Magazine and stuff, all messaged me and said they thought it looked great. And so then it became, suddenly a lot of people had said yeah, so it became serious then, which was really good. And so a small group of people kind of came together to add things to it, and very quickly it became much better and more ambitious than I kind of like thought it could be. So Jay again modeled this like sanitizer bottle, which in the game you can kind of squidge and sanitize your hands, and it makes a little kind of wet sound. And a great student from Glasgow School of Art who I hadn't met, called Olga Chatsafoti, who was quite skillful with coded it all in the Unity engine. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's a free game development engine essentially. And she was pretty experienced with it, so she managed to put together all of these kind of great accessibility features. Because the original idea when I was speaking to my gran was it would be accessible from anywhere for free for as many people as possible, no matter whether like across kind of financial barriers and medical barriers and geographical barriers. And we had a kind of quite careful line to toe between, on one hand, wanting it to be kind of a totally faithful recreation of what our show could have been like. So someone used the word serendipitous when I was talking to them about it. So you get to kind of like wander around the building freely, stumble across things, bump into unexpected stuff around different corners, see things next to each other that you wouldn't expect. And you have to kind of like wander around as you would have done at our show had it happened. But on the other hand, there was the kind of idea that to make it as accessible as possible for people kind of unfamiliar with these kind of games and technologies and stuff, that there should be lots of options so you could navigate around more easily and it would be more understandable and function more like kind of a website in a sense. So I think we found like a nice compromise. So this kind of like map button you can press, and then if you click on someone's name, you kind of skip straight to them. But so you still have to walk around a bit. But if you are really uncomfortable with the way it works, even though we try to make it the controllers kind of typically and predictably and put instructions in and stuff, we tried our best to make it so that somebody who would struggle with like controlling a game on their computer could hopefully give it a go. So these are some stills from inside as it was coming together. A graphic design student from GSA called Molly Johnson did a lot of the design work for the fonts and the buttons and the menus and stuff, and I thought the buttons were really cool, so I threw that in there. This is Olga, who I already mentioned, put together a really nice looking kind of menu screen for it, which, wait, I'll just explain first, was soundtracked by two friends, Angus and Joe, who are in a band who play around Glasgow all the time called Taxidermy Cab, who you may or may not have seen, but they're good. And they put together this like great little soundtrack for the menu, which I'll just play for a second. It's probably enough. So it's just all these people started throwing their different inputs in, and suddenly it was immediately 100 times better than the kind of rough like piece of trash that I put together by myself. So then we reached out to students in our year. So we opened it up to all graduating BA Fine Art and Design students. So that includes like sculpture, photography, illustration, fashion, textiles, painting. And we tried our best to make our kind of like submission criteria for it as broad as we could to kind of accommodate any kind of work that someone would want to put in. So it's just like a little idea. So this is the work of a student called Annie Graham, who's amazing. She's amazing. And so there's just an example of how we try to give people the opportunity to do what they want with it. We thought the kind of, in some ways, it within a kind of game engine, you can get really spacey with it and really crazy, and all kinds of like nuts things can happen. But we wanted to keep it kind of grounded and give students a really clear idea of what they could be taking part in. So it would be in the Stowe building like it was going to be. You can have a whiteboard space if you want, like you would have expected. And we can use all these tools to help you recreate the work that you were going to make or had already made if you wanted to, rather than kind of just saying to people, it's a game, like go crazy. So one technology we use is called photogrammetry, where we ask people with sculptures to take kind of 100 photos of it from all around it, and then you can put it through this software called Recap, Autodesk Recap, and it spits out these like amazingly high quality 3D models, which I mean is kind of mind blowing. But this is Annie's, which was just one that shows it off especially well. And this is a piece by Saskia Robinson that it's a kind of clay relief that she made that we also managed to recreate using that same process. And that was some stuff was a lot easier than that. So if people sent a video in, I just needed the file and can kind of put it on the wall. And if people had done paintings, I could just put it on the wall, and that was much more simple. Some were more complicated, like for Harry, who is on the council for Visual Arts Scotland, I think, had this really nice brochure that I animated for him, the pages turning over. So we really tried our best to let people put in their work as they wanted it, and that we thought was the great benefit of what we did over just having a website format. People can have their installation, have it exactly how they want it, have it be really specific in the space. Some people recreated exactly what they were going to do for their degree show. Some people made something new, and some people did stuff that like wouldn't have been possible in a physical space. So this is Silka Zap, a film that she made with a 360 camera that she wanted surrounding all around you. So you just walk inside this big dome and it's like a planetarium kind of thing, which she couldn't have done in real life, probably, no diss to her. And so, yeah, it was really great having a big variety. There's some textiles by textile designer called Ella Fletcher, which I really liked. So it's just kind of examples of the different types of stuff that we were getting in. And there were 11 of us working at this point. It was going really well. And then so there's a little kind of visualization of this is how it looked a couple of months ago. So we had a few people's work in, and it was getting towards the kind of date that I'd set as like a deadline for people to send their work in to us. And we had like 30 or 40, which is a great number, but there were like kind of 250 people that we like opened it up to. And so I was thinking like, oh, this is really good, but we'll have this like slightly smaller scale than I was thinking. And then in the last like few days before I said like, please have your work in, suddenly like my hard drive filled up with like an insane amount of stuff, and I had to delete all the programs on my laptop to fit it all in. it was amazing. Like I was like totally overwhelmed by how good the response to it was. Sorry. And then so got it all in, packed the building out. That's kind of, I've made it see through so you can see the amount of stuff in there, which I think, I hope that did end up simulating the feeling of wandering around a degree show, because it really is like there wasn't much empty space left in it in the end. So that you can wander around a corner and like walk into someone's sculpture. There are multiple points in the building where you can see like 4 people's work at once, and like it's a really special experience for me to like see that come together and kind of craft it. And a lot of people were there's some massive technical difficulties and kind of sleepless nights at the end, but we managed to get it out one day before the official Glasgow School of Art website launch, which felt good. Which was kind of part of the plan, but it just sort of happened that way. And so Molly put together this poster, Jackie Hoofnog was put together this great website, and we launched, Joe Happen, another student, put together a GoFundMe campaign because we wanted to be all for free for Windows and Mac. We made it run on almost any computer, but we thought this is something that could like hopefully draw a few people to the site, so we'd like to put something back to Glasgow from this as well. So we put together kind of charity drive for food banks in Glasgow Southeast, which again like blew our expectations of what it could be out of the water. The £400 goal was me and Joe just saying how high should we make it, how high could we push it and see what happened. So that was super cool. But probably and then people were really the response to it was incredible. It was on BBC One, which was really mad, and everybody was so lovely about it, and all of the work, there was such an amazing variety of work that had been kind of sent in. And for me at least, like whilst I'm still upset that our show got cancelled and still angry that there's no plan to reschedule that, or at least not one that we've been made aware of, that we managed to get kind of that collective celebration element back that I felt like we were missing out on, and that I'd enjoyed so much last year, for instance, with friends who had graduated the year before, how like kind of great a celebration and collective moment. But I think what's special about the way we did it, hopefully, is that we did it completely on our own terms. No one gave us any money. Like we had some great support from some people that helped share it, like the Sad Grads Instagram helped us launch it, which was great of them. And 16 Nicholson Street, the gallery in Glasgow, were great at like spreading it around and getting the Glasgow arts community aware of what we were doing. And this website has had about 2,000 visitors so far, which is like significantly more than a degree show opening would have, I'm reliably informed. And not all those people will have downloaded it, but still, from all over the world. So like loads of people from Colombia, which I was really surprised by, but that's cool. But from all over the world, yeah, a big chunk from Glasgow, unsurprisingly. But yeah, and there were a couple big problems with it, but I fixed them in the middle of the night the day it came out, and then done. And I think I've got a little video that I'll just play when I've stopped. And just to give you an idea of how it looks to one. I think that's really finished. Should I stop my screen?
Yeah, but it's so captivating.
Yeah, this is really super helpful to get. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, well, the first thing we'll want to do is go and take a look ourselves, I think. So,
yeah, sorry, please.
No, not. Yeah, no, please.
It's www.ds2020simulator.com. It's for free Windows or Mac. It should work basically every computer that it's been tried on, but like email me if there's anything problems with it, and I'll try and sort it out.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing with us this work. It's really, really impressive. The dedication that you all have shared to create this collective exhibition is really amazing. So,
Thanks.
yeah, fantastic. Cool. So yeah, if anyone got any questions, put them in the chat, the Q&A, sorry, not the chat. But I wanted to ask you, can you confirm like what the timescale was from when you first conceived the idea to when it actually there's an exhibition?
So I had that chat with Graham last August, and then I kind of like played around with it a bit, just tiny bits and pieces in between, and then kind of in March when the kind of cloud of doom started descending over uni a bit, I started kind of actively working on it and reaching back out to people and saying, remember when I told you about that ages ago, and would you still be interested? And I think the date our uni shut was like the 16th of March or something, and then we released it 2 weeks ago. So it took, how long was that? 2.5 months? Yeah. That's so impressive, like to have that collaborative element as well, where we're all building this together. Really, really special body of work there, and fantastic to create that opportunity to make sure that it's accessible, regardless of, thinking about it in terms of accessibility and in loads of other ways as well. It's really, really important, and that's one thing that's really a light shine on it in these times. I think at the moment, our Friday Forum, we've had people come to view this from all over the place. People have been watching from Amsterdam and France, and and it's fantastic to be able to rethink how we want to share things going forward. And of course, it's been so many difficulties with it, but that's one particular part of this which is really interesting to think about how we're going to be able to use that. Our platforms in a different way to reach people. It's impressive that you had so many people putting in work at the last minute as well. It was great. So I wondered, as well, if you thought about considering doing this again in some way. Future. This is the kind of first large scale game project I've worked on. It wasn't for some people involved, like Olga and a guy called Mark McGeety, who's a game developer you should look up. He's great. Had quite a bit of experience, and they were amazing at helping kind of tool it out with all the accessibility features that would have taken me much longer to work out, if at all. I'm going to kind of do a similar thing, public library in Lithuania in the autumn, to create a kind of simulated walkthrough of their archive. They were looking for people to kind of use visual arts to bring stuff out of their archive. So I'm doing that, and going forward, putting it back into my personal practice that I do solo. Definitely will be working with interactables and stuff. Wow, so it's also kind of opened up a whole new avenue for your practice. Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. And hopefully for some other people that work in it as well. That would be great. If some people came away with some new knowledge that they could take with them, that's one of the most important things. Great. Wow. And can I just check how long this is going to be available online, or are you going to leave it up for? I think forever, until we stop paying for the website. So I mean, indefinitely. Fantastic. I've just got one question from a Nathan Fulwood, who said, "Hi, have you bought into Oculus or similar?" No. But that would be cool. For people that don't know, an Oculus is one of those big boxy headsets that you strap on, a kind of virtual reality thing. But it was a lot of effort, so I've taken a little break from it. But someone else asked me if I'm going to make it multiplayer, which would be fun. So potentially now my brain's rolled over a bit. Potentially we'll get back on it. Yeah, I'd like to get going on this risk. I probably will do that. If I do, it'll be on my Instagram, definitely.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you want to post your links to where we can find you and find your work as well, just so that we can find out more about what you do, then put them in the chat and we will all follow you, won't we? Yes, we will. Fantastic. There's a few more things I sort of want to talk about, but we are slightly trying to catch up with ourselves in some time. But the last thing I just wanted to sort of ask you about was the 50 to 100 photograph element that's really clever with the sculpture.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That's so interesting. How did that kind of when you were considering the different art forms, how did you what are you building on from that in terms of inspiration to be able to capture the work like that?
Like where did we get the idea for it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Like what was the influence to be able to build?
I mean, just through my own work I've been making, and I've not seen the kind of people have done museum projects and art projects in that way before, but I've not seen one done for a graduate show. I've not seen one done at like quite the same scale that ours ended up at. But there's some really cool things out there, definitely. Yeah, just through my own work, I've worked out how to do lots of these little processes and stuff, and lots of them I've used fairly commonly in kind of game development and CGI, which is something that I have intermediate level of knowledge about. So if anyone would like to try doing that photos thing, there's a free software called Meshroom, which you can give it a go, and you can do it with anything. So it's easy, it's loads of fun. Give it a go.
Great. Okay, I don't know which thing to do first after this, to go walk around there or play with Meshroom. But thank you so much, Ben, for sharing with us that project. Yeah,
thanks.
Amazing project. Fab. Okay, let's move on to our last contributor for Friday Forum 7. We have Hazel Johnson. I'm going to read Hazel's bio and then hand over to Hazel, who's going to talk about probably all sorts of things. Very exciting. Let me get Hazel's bio up.